Few issues in our region stir emotion quite like the Brumby debate. On one side are concerns about protecting fragile ecosystems, waterways, and native species. On the other are people who see Brumbies as more than just horses, symbols of the snowy mountains, carrying stories of stockmen, mountain culture, freedom, and a way of life many feel is disappearing. That's why I believe this conversation can become emotional so quickly. Because beneath those questions of numbers, management, and methods lies something much deeper. What parts of our past should survive into the future? And who decides what is protected? This interview isn't about settling that question. It's about hearing from the people whose life experiences have shaped how they see this issue. Because if we think this debate is only about horses, we may miss out what people are really trying to say. Now, just as a disclaimer, this interview was recorded out in the rain and the wind, surrounded by what many would argue is some of the most beautiful landscapes in our region. Perhaps an appropriate setting for a conversation about place, heritage, and what we choose to preserve. Good afternoon, BrumbyBelle. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Chris, and I love your representation of the Monero and everything that goes on. It's very informative, and I like to also inform you on behalf of the Snowy Mountain Brumbies, my passion, my life, my everything. I'm a committee member of the Mountain Brumby Sanctuary Puma, and our drive is to save the Brumbies from cruelty and inhumane culling and the lies that they're up against.
So, what brought you out to Kyandra, the courthouse? What brought you out in this wonderful weather?
I came here today to the courthouse on the hill of Kyandra on the snowy mountain highway to represent the Brumbies and to be a part of the people and the commitment to the welfare of the Brumbies and the truth about the Brumbies. We're against the lies, and unfortunately, invasive species are against the Brumby, as well as our Environmental Minister, Penny Sharp. I know the Brumby, I know the mountain, and I know the truth. And the truth is, the horses never did what they were told they did. I'm not against Snowy 2.0. I'm not against the future, and I'm not against evolution of mankind on the mountain. But I believe that Brumby too has a place here.
And I suppose you could call this a protest. Do you believe it's achieved the results that it set out to?
I believe today's protest achieved more awareness, new people like yourself, and many new supporters to commit their allegiance to the Brumby and the truth.
For those that aren't familiar with a lot of the arguments surrounding this issue, could you just quickly outline for those that aren't aware of what's going on, what is happening, and what are you directly opposed against?
Well, is what's happening is the horses here in the Snowy Mountains have been actually culled by aerial choppers, and they haven't been shot humanely. It's actually been very inhumane. The horses are chased down and they are shot multiple times with multiple bullets in their bodies, and they suffer a horrible death. And I oppose the lies against the Brumbies in the numbers. It's not true. And the many foals they produce a year is not true. I know a lot about the herd dynamics. I've studied them and I've been a part of them for a long time.
How would you respond to the claim that the Brumby is an introduced animal, just like the deer, just like the pigs, or even just like the foxes? How should Brumbies be treated any differently from those invasive species?
Well, all the invasive species, and if they want to call, which I don't believe a horse is a pest, let alone feral, it is equus, it is a horse. I believe any management program of any of the animals that are not welcome need to be done humanely. I believe in management, and I believe us, the rehomers and the people of the mountains, can manage the horses quite easily. Some help from the government and funds would be nice, but I do believe the minimal amount of horses here, and that always have been here, we can manage them quite easily.
And do you think the current management techniques are working? They're appropriate?
I believe the current management techniques are cruel, and unfortunately, we don't get the support from the RSPCA. They actually support the cruelty and the culling, and I believe it is a cruel way of how the horses are managed and handled. I believe that the representation of the inhumane culling all along has been totally wrong, and the management of the horses is wrong. We can manage them better.
And that would mostly be through rehoming efforts.
Rehomers are the main focus of rehoming these horses without them being harmed.
If there was a message that you could send out to everyone in the region, what would that be?
My message would be to think of the brumby and just remember that the brumby here on the Snowy Mountains, he is an icon. He is an iconic part of Australian culture, heritage and history, and we need to preserve all those three factors.
You tapped on something in that last comment regarding heritage. Do you think that the removal of the brumbies or the elimination of the brumbies is actually one way of removing or reducing the heritage?
I believe in Australia right now, not just the brumbies' heritage is being removed from our history, it's being erased, and it's people like us who will stop that from happening through my grandchildren and generations to come. I will always make sure that the brumby's never forgotten, and he is a part of Australia, and he is a part of our history. You can't erase history. You can't erase history. It's here forever.
Thank you so much, BrumbyBelle, for your time. Pete from Gundagai, it's a pleasure to have you here. I believe you're a fourth generation farmer.
Yeah, from Gundagai. My family had 6 leases in the Kyandra area, Long Plain area, for years.
Oh, you had a lease out here.
Yeah, my grandfather and my father, they spent years up here.
Could it be that some of these horses belong to you?
Probably were. No, they had leases here for years, so yeah, it is a bit of a heritage thing for me. Like, I've got boys and then grandkids now, so they'd be 5th and 6th generation. So I'd still love this to be available for them in years to come. But the way things are shaping up, it's going to be a battle.
Well, why do you think people care about this issue so much?
It's our culture and heritage. So if you see what's happening around the world in Western countries, they're getting rid of their culture and heritage. They just don't want anyone. They want just control of everyone, control of your water, control of your wildlife, control of people, control of everything, unfortunately. So, and I'm just here trying to do my bit, stand up for what I think's right with everyone else around here.
How would you respond to the argument that these horses are, introduced? They're no different from deer. They're no different from pigs, foxes.
No, and we've got 2 blocks of land. We've got one inside the park, and it's got deer all over it. Now it's got pigs because as the weather gets colder up top, they move down to the warmer country. So we have issues with pigs, deer, and dogs. Oh, well, dingoes now. So yeah, they're not a bigger problem as all the other introduced species at all. Then you've got all your natural species that they do cause lots of damage too, but there's no control over that. Then